we go.
Přilby bez české účasti a je tam ohromná tlačenice Rudného Holta, tam byl zpočátku v čele, ale dostává se tam Emil Sajfudinov při své premiérové účasti na letošní zlaté přilbě. Emil Sajfudinov jde do čela, za ním Rune Holta a třetí příčku drží Nicky Pedersen, ale Nicky Pedersen je velký bojovník, teď se propadl až na čtvrté místo, znovu se snaží vrátit po tom nízku, tak jak on to umí. A Nicky Pedersen se dostává před Martina Školského na třetí místo. Nicky Pedersen nechtěl být alespoň na třetí místu, ale má stále před sebou ještě hodně metrů pardubického pochodráčního oválu. Teď ale budeme nejvíce zvědaví na bitvu na prvním místě. Emil Sajfudinov jede stále velice pěkně na té první místě. Drží za svými zády Rune Holtu. Teď je důležité, aby Emil Sajfudinov dobře načasoval svoji formu, protože zlatá přilba se nejede na 4 kola, ale na 6 kol. A Emil Sajfudinov, který musí 6 kol odolávat svým soupeřům. A teď má za sebou velkého dravce Nicky Pedersena. Takže fanoušci, kteří mají rádi Nicky Pedersena i Emila Sajfudinova, mohou být v tuto chvíli ve varu. Bude to ohromný boj a Nicky Pedersen to tam posílá na Emila Sajfudinova. A Nicky Pedersen padá. Emil Sajfudinov se propadá na jezdu do posledního kola. Nicky Pedersen zůstává ale ležet na zemi, bohužel. Byl to takzvaný pád přes hák. Doufejme, že tomuto závodníkovi nic nebude. Je to velká smůla pro dánského závodních strojů. Tak to je to, co jsme tady v posledním jízdě vidět. Příliš nechtěli, pojďme se na to podívat ještě jednou ze zpomalení. Ano, Nicky Pedersen tam opravdu velmi tvrdě útočil na Emila Sajfudinova a je tady to, o čem jsem hovořil v těch předchozích jízdách. Nicky Pedersen a Emil Sajfudinov si nikdy nic nedarovali zadarmo. Emil Sajfudinov věděl, že za sebou má velmi tvrdého dravce a tak si svoji pozici držel. Podívejme se na to ještě jednou. Já si myslím, že kterýkoliv z jiných jezdců, nebýt to Emil Sajfudinov.
Gate 2 in blue, Piotr Pavlitsky, gate 3 white, and Michael Jensen off the outside. And three of these riders, Janowski, Emerson and Pavlitsky, still have a chance of the semi-finals. Big points up for grabs. Who is going to make the semi-finals from these riders now? Janowski off the inside gate has made a good one. Oh, they're going to go down in an untidy heap.
Oh, that's a hard crash.
That is a fast part of the track into that first turn. And let's hope that the boys are going to be okay.
Everson's had a big blow there going in, and so did Pavlitsky. They got hooked up. They all got there together. Freddie Lingman used the word compact, not a lot of racing room out there. So the tapes are about to go up. Janowski inside, Everson then. There, they get together, and Everson just gets straightened up there and hooked on the back of Janowski's bike, and that creates the domino effect. Janowski there, no racing room at all, is there? No real fault. Janowski has moved out a little bit, Pavlitsky's come there. That's a heavy, nasty impact as they go in the air fence. Let's keep our fingers crossed that these lads are okay.
Yeah, we are told that they are conscious, but
Janowski's come out a little bit, Pavlitsky's come across a little bit, and as a consequence there's just no racing room and riders have just clouted each other. No real malice in it. No decision from the referee. It's going to be all four back, we're hearing.
If they are fit to do so. Well, they're both up. They are both up. That is fantastic. He made a great start last time. Zegar off to Miki Pedersen going off gate 3, and Dennis Stroy, the wild card, going off the outside in yellow. Have to fancy Hancock coming out of gate 3. Here we go there, number 12, and Hancock has got the 20-minute lead. Now he's got that first turn ahead of him. Can he dominate the race from here? Second place in blue is Matti Zegar, the Slovenian star, as Pedersen tries the inside line. Pedersen is going to take Zegar wide. Zegar's going to switch back up the inside. Can he return the compliment?
Oh! Big crash! Oh, they touched coming out of turn 4. Pedersen ran up the inside going into turn 3. Zegar then squared the corner off and then actually was closing the door on Pedersen, of course, just kept coming, ran out of track, ran out of room. First pressure now, big decision for the referee.
Well, the referee has to decide who has caused the stoppage of the race. Now by the referee.
From that angle, you've got to say that Zegar is naughty and gives him a real good shove as they come out of the corner. This angle is slightly different, with Zegar actually in front and Pedersen there possibly just running out of track. It's a tough call. I am... Let's have a look at this now. Zegar coming across there, probably comes across a little bit too far in actual fact, and creates an issue. Whether Nicky Pedersen,
Matti Zegar. It looks like Matti Zegar has been adjudged to be the guilty party and is excluded from the rerun. So we'll have Cardiff tonight. Jesper Steentoft of Denmark is our referee. A terrific atmosphere as well, has to be said. Kelvin Tatum, the man alongside me, former England World Cup winner, former world number 3, former world long track champion. He's number 1, second time of asking, and Antonio Lindback has made a good start. He's got a little bit right down, a nasty crash in that first turn. Again, Freddie Lindgren and Bartosz Marslik, and it was an awkward looking tumble, that one, and Lindgren is still down. Let's hope that he's going to be okay, because he's landed awkwardly.
well, he landed hard as well. He landed on the track, which will have blown all the wind out of his lungs. There may have been contact with Peter Kilderman in there as well. This is unfortunate. As far as
Speedway Tavern. Enjoy the show. Welcome to the Speedway Tavern. What do you need to know? Have a drink, have your say. All opinions here today. Welcome to the Speedway Tavern. Enjoy your stay. Michael, Matt, and Chris are here today. Welcome to the Speedway Tavern. Come and have your say.
Thank you very much. We have a new first-time British Speedway champion, and what was a great night for British Speedway, and how often can we say that? So take a bow, Cookie, and well done, mate. So now we can look forward to Alan Rossiter naming the 5-man squad that will represent Team GB in the World Cup. Sans Ty Waffington, of course. And this got me thinking, and I want your thoughts too. Football World Cup, Rugby World Cup, Athletics World Championship, Cricket World Cup, every 4 years. Speedway, every single year. Once again, only in Speedway. Well, good evening, gentlemen. Have you all been hot enough this week?
Just about. hot.
No, you've never been hot in your life, really, have you, Chris? Let's be honest about it.
No.
Where are you again? We can't see you.
Yeah, some idiot forgot to bring my camera back on time. So,
It's always somebody else.
You've let my fan down.
Well, I won't worry about it.
Okay.
So very, very hot evening last night for the Speedway. Was you there?
I was, yes.
Good match.
It was a very good meeting.
I think the track probably leave a bit to be desired. I think
It's always going to be difficult though on a day like that, wasn't it? So,
I don't think they could get enough water in it.
Yeah, it was a bit like Rye House. It used to be towards the end, wasn't it?
Like Rye House used to be at the beginning.
But no, it was a good meeting. I thought I know you don't agree, I know you've got your own opinion on this, but I thought Lakeside were worthy of their points.
Well,
maybe a bit probably got a bit closer than they should have done.
Well, that's that. I mean, I'm not complaining at them having the point. I mean, they did have by a country mile the best rider on the night, but I was never worried through the whole meeting. I thought, we've got this one, and I think the scoreline. I'm the only one that I've heard give this opinion, so I'm probably on my own. But I thought the scoreline flattered them a little bit, not a lot. A little bit.
I think the Brummies were. To be fair, I thought the Brummies were pretty much in control of it. I don't really think Lakeside, bar Zach and Ben Morley, didn't really have a lot else, did they? Lakeside, Paul Hurry was disappointing. Couldn't stop on the bike.
Well,
some things never change.
Yeah, I mean that's true. He does have a history, but at least he was doing it he was getting a lap in this time.
At least he got around the first bend
Yes.
very well this time. So.
I've read a few comments, including some from Ground Drury actually, saying that the luck evened itself out, and one of the bad bits of bad luck they're talking about from the Lakeside point of view was Paul Horry falling off. I'm sorry, that's not.
That's poor
bad
riding.
luck.
That's not bad luck. So
maybe once, but twice. That's poor riding, surely, particularly from somebody of his.
I can't say I was particularly
experience.
impressed to see him stay on the track after his first fall. That was a little bit of gamesmanship, to be honest.
Possibly, but I don't know what he hoped to gain from it, because he didn't gain anything
no, he didn't,
from it. But some very encouraging performances from the reserves, I think.
I thought so. I thought Alex Spooner, even though he scored only 1 point, I thought he was on the pace.
He looked
and I think
tidy.
With a few extra laps around the track, he could be. I was a little bit surprised, obviously, that McCauley Leak wasn't.
I was as well, and I think it was poor reward for the heroics of Heat 14 the previous time. But then again, you can't argue with Taylor Hampshire's score, can you?
Well, he got better. He got more confident as the night gone on, didn't he? And he was the only one really who could pass on the track towards the end.
That's what I liked about him. Actually, there was a bit of steel about him, a bit of on not giving up, and I mean. 9 paid 10, not a bad result.
That's not a bad result for an experienced rider. So,
hello, we've got some questions.
Yeah, Paul Higgins said hello.
Hello, Paul.
Hello, Paul.
Dave Twine says car jumping the gate twice did it. And Ian says Graham Flint was very hard on us.
Okay, so let's go straight into that, because I think that's certainly. I think that Liam Carr jumped the gate slightly the first time that Graham Flint pulled them back. I think that first time, yes, he did jump the gate.
Yeah.
From my point of view, from where I was standing, it looked very much like he just got 2 perfect starts the next 2 times that he was excluded. I don't know what other people's opinions are on that, but where I stand on the first bend, I can see when the bikes jump. Mm-hmm. And it didn't jump until the tape went up. That's just a good start, isn't it?
You would say in that way. I mean, obviously, I was in the inside, and you got it on the replays on the screens, and they looked like they were fairly good starts from him. To be honest, he's just made a good start. Of course, the referee only gets to see it once, so he's got to make that judgment.
Well, he should do a better job of making the judgment. That's his job.
Well, that's it. So.
It felt very much like. I mean, we've seen it a lot with Tom Bacon this year, that I think referees, if he gets a good start, they suspect it's a rolling start, and maybe that's something that he's brought on himself.
I do think there's a lot of riders. James Sargent's one. I think who springs to mind. Who's sort of, and Nikolai Clint as well. Who's sort of they get themselves a bit of a reputation for being rollers at the start.
I don't think we seem to have it in for Liam, and I don't think Liam's got that reputation, has he? I haven't heard.
Well, I've seen very little of him before he signed for the Brummies, so.
Well, yeah. So I mean, okay. So we want everybody to participate. So I mean, give us your opinions. Did Liam Carr jump, particularly in the last two ones that he got, or was we robbed as fans of what could have been an exciting race? I mean,
I thought you were going to say, did he jump or was he pushed for a minute?
Would he have beaten Zach? Because at least one of those gates, it did come out in front. It wasn't a particularly passy track. Is that a good? Can I use that? Can I turn passy track? Yeah, I've just invented a new verb. Who knows? But we was robbed of the chance to find out, and that would have been exciting. But I suppose the important thing is we did win. It still shows. I think we need reserves to be doing those sorts of jobs for us if we're going to get into those playoffs. So, yeah, should we sign those two riders? What do people think? Or should we hang on to Macaulay Leake and Carl Roberts? I think we're doing a fairly decent job as well.
It's a nice headache to have for ground jury, isn't it? So
it is, isn't it? Yeah. So, let's have your opinions now then. Chris, how can they give us their opinions?
You can go onto Facebook on the supporters Facebook page. You can also go to the UK Speedway page. You can also find us on www.srbradio.com, and there is a chat box.
I think there was one W too many there. I think
only one. And I mean, are you talking about the chat box? Are you able to the shout box? Sorry, to put the Facebook page up for people in case they don't know where, because then you can see us in glorious Technicolor and. Probably feel ill.
No, we want people to actually look at it. We don't want to put them off.
Yeah.
But a good idea.
So, as advertised, we're going to have in about 5 minutes. The captain's coming a live phone in on the show. So, shove us your questions on the shout box for JPB as well. This show is nothing if it's not by the fans for the fans. We'll use that,
It's a good idea, isn't it?
So let's just have a quick look at the scores last night. I mean, we're talking to Jack, and I think it's fair to say it wasn't his best night.
Bit rusty, maybe.
Yeah, and possibly out of the gate, and as we said, the track was, I think, quite slick, to be honest.
Well, I think you've got to take into account as well that he's riding at number one, so he's got harder rides because he's racing against the top riders from the opposition more than he was when he was at number 4. So
of course, and that's it, and that's going to happen.
And it was a big night for Jack as well, being with his first meeting as captain. So
yes, what's your opinion of that?
I think it was probably the logical choice, to be honest.
Not Tom Bacon.
No, I think Jack Parkinson Blackburn, sort of rider, I think will sort of revel in that sort of role. It's a big ask for a 16-year-old to be captain.
Well, the only reason I ask, and I'm just playing devil's advocate here because this is an opinion that I've heard expressed.
Yeah.
The only reason I ask is because obviously he's stepped down from Sheffield because he was feeling the pressure there and it was affecting him.
Yeah.
Or he felt it was affecting him, and then we make him captain, and is that not pressure as well?
In a lower standard of league, admittedly, but.
So that's being captain, is that going to affect his performance? But he was jollying everybody around in the pits and stuff, so which is sort of his job. While I'm thinking about it, and because Chris has just reminded me of bringing them up, we've got some updates, some Brummie interest tonight in different matches. Swindon versus Plymouth. That's the Swindon Sprockets.
That's right.
Get my teeth in. Which has Zach Vitenek riding for Swindon and Lane Cupid riding for Swindon and Adam Roynan riding for Plymouth. So let's have a look. It's 18-12 to Swindon at the moment. Zach Vitanex won his first race, as you'd expect. Lane Cupid has had 2 wins.
Mm-hmm.
He must like the Swindon. Actually, would suit him, the Swindon track.
Would do,
wouldn't
yeah.
it? Who's he beaten? Let's have a look. Can we go down the heats for a little bit for us, mate? So he's beaten Greenwood, Andrews and Compton, a 5-1. And he's also beaten Priest, Greenwood and Andrews in Heat 5. So, excellent, mother. We've also got Isle of Wight Warriors against the Kent Kings, with Liam Carr guesting for Kent. Not had a good start. He's had an 4 and an exclusion. Very big crash between Carr and Dugard as the pair were battling for second place. Dugard up but looking uncomfortable. Carr is getting up now too. Extensive damage to the air fence. So there's only going to be a slight delay. Dugard was initially excluded, but Carr went to the referee to say he was the cause. Wow, I've never heard of that before.
And they changed it.
Yeah, Carr went to the referee to say he was the cause of the stoppage, so the decision has now been changed and Carr is excluded.
I didn't think referees were allowed to change the decision once they made it.
Well, apparently, if a rider says it was my fault,
Oh,
you
all right.
got to say that. That's I've never heard of a rider doing that before.
No, neither have I.
That's not fair play. Let's have more of that, actually. Sheffield versus Peterborough. Start delayed 15 minutes due to traffic outside the stadium.
Well, there's traffic outside the stadium most night, isn't
Yes.
there?
Sheffield
no, good
14, Peterborough 10. Tom Bacon riding for Peterborough there, and he's got 2 paid seconds so far. Not a bad return for him. Redcar versus Monarchs. It's 24-18 in favour of Redcar. Ben Barker riding there, and we have to say congratulations.
He rode really well,
Ben
didn't he?
Barker.
He was only at the last minute.
He some great. Well, we'll talk about that in a moment. But yeah, he really did ride well. He's had a second and a win. And well, I suppose Mitchell Davies an honorary Brummy after what he did last year, and he got a point. He's got a point from 2 rides. And Ipswich versus Workington Comets, 18 to Ipswich. And Workington have got 6. Danny King's won his first race. They're getting well beat there at Workington, unfortunately, for them. And Carl Newman was riding for because he's just got dropped by Paul, and now been signed by Leicester.
That's right.
It's a hell of a merry-go-round, and there's also Justin Sedgman's just lost his
Place at Bellevue.
In place.
Lawrence Gate.
Yeah,
So I'm just going to get our guests set up.
Okay.
Just a couple of questions on the show box.
Go on then.
The old show box, if you want to look at it, and I'll get it.
Okay. Well, should we put some music on? And we'll put a little bit of music on. When we come back, we will have JPB on the line, hopefully.
Welcome to Catch Up With Me, the Gabby Cabby on SRB Radio in association with Griffiths Clothing outside the Sunflower Lounge in Birmingham with 3 members of Ivory Wave. George Johnson.
Nice one.
Luke Morris.
Yep.
Okay, so we've got the skipper in the house. Are you there, Jack?
Yeah, I'm there. You alright?
So can you turn him up a little bit? Thank you. So, thank you for coming on the show. And first question, did you enjoy your first stint as captain, and did it feel different?
To be honest, it didn't feel different as such. Oh, well, I'm just acted the same, really. I've just always been getting the boys G'd up and getting everyone going, keeping everyone's heads up, and so it was just, the only difference was I had a C next to my naming programme, really. But yeah, it were really good to honour my club, and really enjoyed it.
Good stuff. Now, I've got a question to ask you. I was going to ask you this question, but one of our listeners has jumped in and asked this question, and he's asked it much better than me. So this is what Tomo has said. Did you ask Liam Carr if he jumped 3 times, and what did he say?
No, some riders do anticipate starts. Some, like roughly they'll be 3 to 5 seconds, so it's quite easy to jump them. But I didn't ask him, but I won't be surprised if he did, to be fair. But yeah, no, I didn't.
I don't imagine he was very happy.
No.
I think also as supporters we felt a bit shortchanged because we lost 2 opportunities to see him racing against Zach, and it would have been, I think, would have been interesting racing, but there you go. Did you have a question for him?
Jackie, just coming back off the back of this controversial ban, do you feel like you got a point to prove after that? Because it did seem, on the face of it, to be a bit of a harsh decision, Jack.
Say that again, sorry.
I say, do you feel like you got a point to prove after your controversial ban?
Yeah, well, in all fairness, I think that the SCB were just showing their authority, really, but, yeah, I do feel like I do have a point to prove, but yeah, I'm not putting that pressure on me. I'm just gonna go as I haven't been away, and I'm just gonna try and score as many points as I can and enjoy my racing like I usually do.
And sort of as a follow-on from that question, this year in the Premier League, it's not the Premier League, is it? It's the Championship and the
Premiership.
Premiership. Thank you very much. What
By the time you get it right, they'll have changed them again.
Probably. They've tried to move those 2 top leagues closer together, and it just feels like, we was talking about this last week. It just feels to me that it's also moved the National League a little bit further away from the Premiership, and what you felt about that, whether you thought that was true.
Yeah, it's true, really. The Premiership and the Premiership and Championship, they're both like you said, the close rate. Well, it's just really the same, but it's a lot. Well, the Premiership's a lot harder than it was. The Premier League? I can't remember the name for it. It's a lot like more challenging than it used to be. Like Richard was saying, but yeah, it is challenging, but yeah.
Okay, now last year we went through the season with the same 7 riders. This year not so much. So I was wondering how this has affected things, and are the new guys settling into the team, and how team spirit is in general?
Well, yeah, it's not great having to keep changing riders throughout injuries, but it's got to be done, really. But yeah, it does change it, but nobody makes like newcomers feel any different. Everybody's that guest for us or anything, there's never any pressure. Everybody's always welcome into the team. So yeah, it's not the best, it's not ideal, but yeah, you've just got to carry on, really.
And also, last night, talking of new riders, we had 2 new riders at reserve, Alex Spooner and Taylor Hampshire. I've already had a few comments on the shout box today about, we've got to sign Taylor Hampshire, or we've got to sign Alex Spooner. I don't suppose you can give anything away, but is this something, as captain, that Graham would consult you on?
Yeah, I think I'd have a say in it. Like before they went out, I just told them, I said, you don't need to go out and score points, just have fun riding your bike, and there's no pressure on you. So that's what they did, and they had some good races. So yeah, I think definitely Graham's got his eye on them, and yeah, we'll see what the future brings.
Brilliant. This is a question that's come straight off the shout box, so I'll just throw it out to you. This is from Tomo. Who does JPB think will be joining us in the playoffs? It's a confident question, isn't
It
it?
is, yes.
Very.
Yeah, probably Cradley, Eastbourne and Lakeside, I'd say.
Cradley, Eastbourne and Lakeside.
Yeah.
Surprise omission of Bellevue there.
Bellevue, yeah.
Yeah, Bellevue as well. Yeah, we've got some tough competition, but we're just going to have to step up and, like I said, just have fun riding his bikes and just score as many points as we can, and hopefully we'll definitely get a shot in the playoffs.
Now, last night, I think you would agree wasn't the best night, certainly score-wise, that you've had at Perry Bar. Do you put that down to, because I think the track was quite slick, or is that down to 2 weeks off and a little bit rusty out of the gates?
It wasn't down to anything really. I've always had my favourite bike and my spare bike. I think I've rode it a couple of times, and I went for a practice at Kings Lynn, and I rode that bike, and I felt a lot better on it. 'Cause my starts felt a lot better. I just felt a lot more comfortable on it. But I'm struggling with the setups from out of the gates, and my clutch were just really too fierce, so it was just lifting too violent, and I had to get off the gas and then to keep the wheel down, and everyone had just left me then, and then it was just a catch-up game really. But we tried different things, and I didn't seem to get much improvement from it, but hopefully we'll have sorted that out for next week.
And Ian Faultless would like to know, do you genuinely believe we can make the playoffs?
Yeah, I think everybody's got a chance at getting in the playoffs. You don't know who's going to get in, who's going to not get in. Anybody from bottom at league to top at league, anything could change. So I think everybody's got just as equal of a chance. So we're just going to have to keep our heads down, focus on each meeting at a time, and score as many points as we can, and hopefully we will.
I'm going to add my 2 pence worth there actually and say I genuinely believe that we can make the playoffs, but I think
definitely
the reserves are going to be key for us.
Yeah, that's it. But we can't just have strong reserves. We've got to be strong all the way through, really. So everybody's got to keep improving and learn. Just in general, just keep riding, and the more time we spend on his bikes, the more confident we're gonna get, and the more points we'll get. So that's it, really. It's just a matter of believing in yourself, and if you believe in yourself and keep your heads up, whether we win or lose, keep your head up, and things will go good.
Brilliant. I noticed in the programme last night you're having van problems.
Yeah, we're struggling for transport at the minute. But yeah, any help for that would be very, very much appreciated. You can either inbox me on my Twitter or my Facebook or my granddad, which is Neil Parkinson. And it's just transport at the minute for us.
Well, come on, guys, let's help Jack out and we see we can sort something out for him. And talking of that, I mean, would you like to mention any of your sponsors while we've got the chance?
I've got Ossett Pallets, Lionhead, Yellow Dot, so many really. I don't want to mention a couple and not mention them all really, because all of them are just as much appreciated, whether it's big or large really. But all my sponsors, everybody knows who they are. It's very much appreciated, and I hope to be with me long seasons to come.
And do you have a web page where people can sort of
get
in touch?
Yeah, there's quite a few things on there. There's all my sponsors, how to be a part of my team, all my merchandise. It's jackparkinsonblackburn.co.uk.
That's easy enough to remember. We'll put that out on the shout box even for people to go to. Graham Drury said that when he spoke to you about taking the captain's role, that he was explaining to you that it's not just about tossing the coin at the beginning of the meeting. I was wondering if you could give us an idea of some of the things that he said to you.
Yeah, well, you've got to always be as though you're at Speedway representing Birmingham. whether you're on or off the track, whether you're at home, laid in bed. You know, you've got to be professional all the way through. You can't be doing anything to let anybody down or anything like that. So you've just got to have a professional head on all the time, really. Even though it's hard to step up to because I'm 16, but he believes in me and all my family and the team believe in me. So yeah, I believe in myself, to be honest. So yeah, I feel like I get all the boys going, I get everybody revved up and make sure everybody's got a smile on their face. So yeah, I do think I'm suitable for the captain's role.
I don't think there's any argument here on that one. I hope this could go terribly wrong. This could, I'm not sure, but we'll give it a go. So Tomo's just come on, and apparently you do a funny impression of Ryan Guest. And he's asked if you would do a red lights for us.
How's it going? Red lights. Yeah. After I can hear my granddad laughing downstairs. Yeah, I do. One of the meetings, he got called off, and he did a interview for me for one of the presses. So I can hear Ethan laughing as well now. He's put me off now, sorry. I did an interview of Ryan, so like an opposite way around, and I just said, what do you mean by saying, red lights? And he didn't give an answer, he just did it back to me, so it didn't really work out, but it were good at the time. Yeah.
Okay. Well, this is a question that somebody's just thrown up on the shout box. What is the most difficult shale to wash off your bikes?
Good question, actually.
Definitely Buxton.
Buxton, yeah. Well, is that shale?
Yeah. It turns your bike like a bluey colour. It's quite strange, actually. So, but yeah, it's definitely Buxton.
Okay, favourite track and least favourite track. Let's go with.
Favourite track, Buxton or Birmingham?
You've got to say Birmingham, haven't you?
Yeah,
you put a
definitely.
lot of pressure there. Yeah, to be fair. So.
I should have said Birmingham first, really. Birmingham and Buxton.
We'll edit it.
Hey.
And least favourite track?
I don't. Well, to be honest, I get on well around everywhere. I just like riding my bike. To be honest, I don't have a least favourite track.
They've all got four corners, I suppose.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. What engines are you using this year, Jack?
I'm using Sean Wilson. Well, Sean Wilson does them. There's a baby offset and an offset GM.
Okay, I'll pretend I understood that. I was just wondering, because there's a lot of people now been looking at the GTR engines, whether that's something you'd looked at or thought about, and what your thoughts are on the new GTR engine. I don't really want to say anything about that, to be honest, but okay.
I haven't really heard. So some people go like, you've got to have the perfect setup for them. If you don't have a perfect setup, it can go badly wrong. So I'd like to have a go on one, but I wouldn't like to put me in charge of one, to be honest.
There you go, guys. Anybody out there with a spare GTR, Jack would love to have a go on it. And he'd like it delivered in a nice new van.
Oh, I think
that'd be brilliant.
Right, well, Jack, mate, thank you so much for joining us tonight. All the best for the rest of the season, and just keep doing what you keep doing, mate.
No worries. Thanks for having me.
You take care, mate.
Cheers, buddy.
Cheers, mate. You too.
He's gone.
Okay. Text him.
Yeah, we'll do it.
Thank you. Right, okay, so...
I need the phone for that, though.
I think... Excuse me.
So fussy, isn't it? Everything for him, sir.
I thought, 16 years old. He's very assured for a 16-year-old.
He's very assured, yeah. I'm trying to think, actually. He was... must be one of the youngest captains, if any... I know Neil Levitt was captain of the Wolves when he was 16.
Right, okay.
In the early 80s.
Was he? I didn't realise that.
Yeah, for a short time, so...
So has there been anybody... Well, there can't have been anybody younger than 16, can there? There's not going to be any.
Well, there was some
15-year-olds.
controversy about Neil Everett's age when he was at Wolves, because I think a few people thought he was 15.
Well, he started at Birmingham when he was 15.
Yeah. So that's what,
and
Birmingham. Sorry, yeah. So
Yeah. Well, has there been anybody? Has there been any? Well, he didn't captain us then, though. So has there been anybody younger than 16 captaining? Because you can get 15-year-olds racing in this league.
yeah.
So, or is JPB and Neil Evans the youngest there has ever been? Does
I
anybody
know he's gone, but this would have been a great question, wouldn't it? Really? Can you see?
Does it? Oh, that would have been a great.
would
Does
have
it
been.
worry JPB that as captain he is giving orders to a rider more than double his age? Right, I'm going to answer for him here.
All right.
As in what I think he would say. First of all, I don't think he's going to be giving anybody orders
Yeah.
as such. I don't think that's the way it works. I don't think that's the way he works. I think you would be, more of a request. I think Graham's the one that gives the orders.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
And I don't think it'd worry him at all. Is the answer to that.
And Jack's just messaged me back to say thanks for making him do that impression.
Hey.
He's more than welcome for
Oh,
that.
God.
That's Tomo's fault. Well done, Tomo.
well done.
So that's brilliant. So you told me you got some Wolves news.
Well, we've had no meetings this week, but the only, well, you could say downside of news, obviously Mark Riss has sustained an injury on Friday, riding for Edinburgh, and it looks like it's going to be quite I think it's a 6-week spell he's going to be out for, which is a big blow, because he was a real shame, because he was just starting to show really why Wolves had gone and got him. You know, he was starting to get to grips with the track at Monmore Green. And 6 weeks is it's going to be a fairly lengthy time. Obviously the cup match is up. We've got the cup match second leg on Monday. It's a bit of a non-event. We've got a 18-point lead from the first leg.
Yes.
But Wolverhampton reserve Mark Riss is facing a spell on the sidelines with a hand injury. He was involved in a nasty crash alongside teammate Sam Masters in Heat 6 of Edinburgh's SJB Championship meeting with Ipswich last Friday night. The German racer has undergone an operation on 2 dislocated fingers, while further surgery will be undertaken on Monday just gone to fix torn tendons. The 22-year-old is expected to remain in St John's Hospital in Livingston until Tuesday, so he would have been out by now, and faces a recovery time estimated by the surgeon to be around 6 weeks. So get well soon, Mark, and hope to see you back soon, mate.
Do you think that there's been quite a lot of injuries this year? I mean, maybe I'm looking at it from a Brummies perspective, because we've had quite a few injuries this year, but it feels like there's been quite a lot over the space of the 3. Just lots of niggly minor type
There
injuries.
does seem to have been a bit, doesn't it? So,
So I don't know whether there's any reason for that, but we're going to go through
are there a lot of riders using the GTRs? Maybe it's possibly teething.
Well, it was
problems,
interesting
things like
what Jack said, that they're a bit sort of, I suppose to paraphrase him, sensitive to getting the setup right. So
I've said for a couple of years that I think one of the problems with bikes today is that they're, and I know one man who's argued, this is Kelvin Tatum, has said that bikes now are a bit too unpredictable going into the corners, and that's why you see a lot of falls now where riders fall off unchallenged. You didn't see that years ago.
a bit like Paul Horry last night.
Yeah. Which is that is something that I've noticed over the last few years, to be fair.
I think that I've noticed that all through Speedway. I think it's a difficult thing getting a Speedway bike round the corner at speed. But
seems to have come about since the low-down engines were introduced about 20 years ago.
Because
So
they've got a smaller working window as far as the revs and so on.
Yeah.
So, haven't they?
Can I just quickly say, a lot of people have joined us now, and just to say that we have an interview earlier with Jack and Jack, and you'll be able to listen to it again on Mixcloud and on our YouTube channel as well. So I'll put them later.
There you go. So let's do the scores on the doors now. I'm an idiot, by the way.
Get no argument for either me or Matt.
well, you
Because-
still
well-
just thought to tell us that. So.
I don't know why.
As if we need reminding.
I was going on about how many Brummies riders were riding, and I missed half of the Brummie riders that were riding for Swindon tonight.
Yeah.
Because David Mason's riding for them, as well as Lang Cupid and Zach Vitanek and Taylor Hampshire. We can possibly call a Brummie rider at the moment, maybe. I don't know. So the score is 27 to Swindon and 27 to Plymouth. Now, Plymouth
Or at Perry Bar.
Or at Perry Bar next
Wednesday.
Next Wednesday, it's the Knockout Cup, isn't it?
Yeah.
So that's interesting. They got. That's a bit worrying, actually, because that's a good team that Swindon have got there.
Well, they've got a strong top two. Obviously, Steve Boxall might not be riding, but I mean they'll be able to get a strong guess for him because he's top of the averages. But I mean, Adam Ryan and
I thought JPB was top of the averages.
He might be, yeah.
Yeah, he's got 11 points, something or other.
He's very, very close, though, Steve Boxall. I mean, he to me, he is the best rider in that division by.
And I know you just mentioned Hampshire. Somebody mentioned earlier that the Brummies maybe should sign him. That was one of the questions.
I mean, yes, but that depends on whether he wants to sign, because I have heard rumblings that Eastbourne are sniffing about as well.
Interesting news in the Isle of Wight meeting regarding Liam Carr.
Oh, he's withdrawn. Okay, we'll have a look at that. Can we go back to the Swindon-Plymouth meeting? Just want to run through some of the scores. Zach's Vitanex on a maximum after 2 rides. Lancupit has scored 7 points, paid 8 from 3 rides. Taylor Hampshire scored 4 points from 3 rides.
David Mason's got 4 from 3 rides as well.
David Mason's got 4 points from 3 rides as well, so not a bad showing. Probably don't know the track that well. I'm very impressed with Lancupit. Okay, Isle of Wight. Let's go and have a look at that. Can we go down so we can find out if he's okay? There's nothing there, just that he's withdrawn. So
as Kelsey Durgar's withdrawn as well, I think so.
Yeah, it was quite a crash. Well, fingers crossed. If we find out any news as we're on air, we will let you know. Sheffield versus Peterborough. And actually, if anybody else out there has got some news, please shove it up on Facebook or on the shout box for us. Sheffield 31, Peterborough 23. Tom Bacon's had 3 rides. He's had 2 paid seconds.
There's a few ex-Brummies in that meeting as well, wasn't there?
Yeah,
Chris Harris, Saul of Gostigard,
Paul Stark. Yeah. Well, we could have kept half of these riders as assets. We'd have one hell of a team, wouldn't we? Redcar versus Edinburgh.
Let me just reload that.
Of course, it was 36-26 last time we looked. It is now still 36-26. There we go. Ben Barker's only been beaten once from 3 rides.
Yep.
And we'll be talking about. I think that's where we'll go to next. Actually, is the British final, and Ipswich versus Workington.
I'm guessing that's the score.
35-15 at the moment. That's
Ipswich are looking good at the moment.
They are.
So.
Yeah, they're looking good for a playoff place. I think we'll have a look at the tables in a while as well.
Just before we go on, just a public service information announcement from Sue.
Okay.
Sue.
Hello, Sue.
Hello, Sue. She said, can you let people know if they join the BSSC, they go into the draw for watching a couple of races from the centre green. So
of course, you've just done that, Sue.
Yeah,
The BSSC, of course, is the Birmingham Speedway Supporters Club. And every week they have a draw, and you'll see people watching some Speedway from the centre green. So if you join the Supporters Club, that's one of the benefits that you get from doing that.
I would say as well, if you've never watched a Speedway race from the centre green, do it. It's well worth it.
It is really. It's such a different perspective, and you don't have to get the feel of the speed. And
I mean, you're doing this league, and you certainly did in the top league as well.
Yeah,
you've commented on that, didn't you? You were taking it back by.
First time, I stepped back.
If you can read that one out as well.
Also, maybe a reminder to all about the 100 Club, as so far this year's membership is very low.
Interesting comment from Dave Twine there.
Very.
Robin McGregor of Glasgow, he was 14 years old, I beg your pardon, in 1980. His first match, Glasgow gave him the honour of being captain. It was found out to be illegal. I love it. Can I just say, only in Speedway? Yeah. 14 years old. Did he score any points in that match?
Yeah.
Speedway Plus, it might be the best place to find that. So.
Yeah, speedwayplus.com from Dave Twine. It's a great site for...
or Speedway Research, that's another good one as well.
Yeah.
So
yeah, good stuff. Right, so we've got a new British champion.
We have.
Good match, I thought.
It was, yeah.
Some good racing.
Again, difficult conditions, obviously, with the weather, but it was a good crowd.
Ben Barker doing what we know he can do.
Oh, man, that would have surprised a lot of people because he was only as a last-minute replacement, wasn't he? So, I mean, obviously felt that he had nothing to lose, so he just went for
sharp, actually.
He did, yeah.
Good.
So,
with his leg trailing behind him, and doing what we remember Ben doing. Danny King, not a bad meeting as a given the form that he's had going into it. I thought he came close to getting into that.
I don't think the Leicester fans were too happy because he didn't ride for them on Saturday. So, it was always going to be a difficult ask for him to hold on to that. He hasn't had the best of seasons so far. I think he would have been better off not moving to Leicester, but I suppose he really wanted the extra meetings, and there was nobody else that could fit him in once we lost Coventry.
No. Well, I mean, it was good for him to be able to at least find somewhere in that league.
I mean, obviously, there's been a few comments about the fact that Rory Schlein rode in the meeting as well, so as an Australian. But as I say, last week we've had 2 New Zealanders win the British Championship over, in the past. So I know it was different rules and regulations in those days, but
it's always different rules and regulations from last year. So, talking of rules and regulations. Maybe you can answer this because I'm not entirely sure. I think it's probably just due to the fact that we're in the National League. Life is too short to read the Speedway rule book.
Yes.
Is there any arguments? No. Okay. So could someone tell me how we were allowed to replace Macaulay Leak at reserve?
And that's from Lucy, by the way.
Yeah. Thank you for a great question, Lucy.
Well, I'll let G answer that because he's a connoisseur of the Speedway rule book. So.
Is that right? Yeah. I don't know, but pretty much a rider can just be dropped in the National League for whatever reason.
Sometimes wonder whether the rule book's sponsored by Ladybird, to be honest.
And then you're allowed to replace them with a 3-point rider.
Yeah.
I think it's just as simple as that. But if anybody else out there has got a more comprehensive answer than the one that I've just codged together, then please put it on the shout box because it's interesting. What I would like to know, actually, from people on the shout box before we go back to the British final, is, I think Macaulay Leak has done really well. Would you go with Taylor Hampshire rather than Macaulay Leak, or both Taylor Hampshire and Alex Spooner replacing Carl Roberts? And what do you think? Where would you guys? What would you like to see? What would you like to see from Grand Drury on that one? So any more stars, do you think, from the British final?
Rory
Schlein, maybe?
I had a feeling Rory Schlein would win it, to be honest, because of the form he's been showing.
Yeah, I think we both thought that.
Stevie Worrell.
Didn't he have an injured hand?
He rode really well. So I know it's his own track, but it would have been nice to have seen him win it. Obviously, I'm not a big fan of Craig Cook, to be honest, for obvious reasons, but he did ride well, to be fair, and he did deserve it, and he's riding well at the moment, to be fair. So it'll be interesting to see what he does at Cardiff.
So it's going to be interesting now, isn't it, to see who Alan Rossiter names in the Team GB. Given that meeting, is that going to affect his thinking? Would you put Chris Harris in?
No.
Would you put Scott Nichols in?
No.
So really would really would be a changing of the guard.
I wonder whether Roscoe's sort of hoping that Ty's going to change his mind. I don't think he will at this short notice, but
would you put Ty in if he did?
Yeah, he's our best rider.
Well, he is,
whether people like him or not. So
yeah, but there's again, I'm playing devil's advocate here. There's a case to be made, isn't there, that the team is bigger than any one rider. If he'd turn around at the beginning of the season, again, I'm being devil's advocate here. If he'd turn around at the beginning of the season and said, "Well, actually, I've changed my mind," that might be different. But to do it at the last
Danny
minute,
King being in, if you were picking it,
I think so.
Really?
I think he would. Yeah. Where is it? It's at King's Lynn, isn't it?
Yeah.
So he rides King's Lynn quite well. Well, if not Danny King, who? Obviously, Cook, Worrell.
Cook and Lambert, I think, are 2 certs for the squad. King, 50-50 on Danny King, to be honest.
Possibly reserve.
Possibly reserve, yeah, but I'm not.
Would you put a strong rider at reserve because you can use them where you want to?
That's better.
That's better. I mean, Cook and Lambert for me are obviously. I think they're the two certs. Steve Worrell, not so sure, to be honest.
Then it gets a bit. So that's why I think Danny King, because he's got a little bit more experience, and there's not a lot of experience in that team, is there?
Where's the final? I'm trying to remember where the final is.
It's probably in Poland somewhere. Usually is.
Somebody
can let us know.
Can I just go back to a question?
Oh, that's the point. Yeah, Thomas says, does the reserve not have to be an under 21 in the World Cup? Cool. He's absolutely right, of course.
Yeah.
Yes, the reserve does have to be an under 21.
Yeah.
So that's probably going to be. Is Bamford still?
Bamford might be a possibility, yeah, because I know he's quite paddy with Roscoe. So.
That's an old
one for Matt. With Riss out for 6 weeks, who would you replace him with? Would you replace him?
I'd be surprised if Chris and Pete replace him, to be honest.
You think they'll go rider replacement?
Well, they won't be able to go for rider replacement because he's a reserve.
Oh, is he? So they'll have a guest, right? Of course, yeah. So that sort of speaks for itself.
Might be an opportunity for Max Clegg, I suppose. If I would be surprised if they replaced him. To be honest, I think they've Chris Vance certainly doesn't like making too many replacements in a season. So
apparently, Ellis can guest for him.
I don't know what sort of relationship he's got with Chris Van Stratton, bearing in mind.
Schlein was in the British final. Who is he riding for in the World Cup? I would presume he's under a British licence, isn't he? So you could put Schlein in the World Cup, surely.
If he's eligible, then on curve form, you'd have to put him in.
You'd have to put him in, wouldn't you? I hadn't even considered that, actually.
Yeah.
Interesting. That all of a sudden looks a bit better, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Actually. Yeah.
Interesting.
Oh, Dave Twine, you've just cheered me up. Right.
Okay, there's updates.
Oh, yes.
That's an interesting
Thank you very much.
meeting.
Swindon Plymouth was 36-36, and it's now going to
Still
Palace.
36-36.
It's 36-36. Okay.
Yeah.
Zach Vitanek is on fire. Three straight wins. Isle of Wight versus Kent Kings. It's 35-31. Liam Carr, as we know, has been withdrawn.
Just so as well, it was great that Zach got a good reception from the Rummies fans as well. So
I wasn't surprised.
I wasn't surprised, but I mean, he deserved it because he was
2 seasons with us, 1-2.
Well, sort of one and a bit. He didn't really.
Well,
he had a tough time
last
season, admittedly, but
yeah. Sheffield 36, Peterborough 24. Tom Bacon still just had the 3 rides and scored 2, paid 4. And Redcar versus Edinburgh, the score is that updated?
Yep,
42-32 to Redcar. And no real Brummie interest in there. And Ipswich 35 it was. So Ipswich 39, Workington 17. Oh dear. That's
tough night for the Comets.
Yeah, that's not a good match to watch, is it?
It might be, the racing might be excellent.
Well, there is that.
Yes.
There is that with Speedway. You always get 2 or 3 bites at the cherry, don't you?
Yeah.
Right, shall we have a look forward to next week's match? First of all, who's Wolverhampton racing?
We've got the second leg of the cup match against Kings Lynn.
Okay.
18 points up from the first leg, so you would think it should be a fairly straightforward on paper.
Trouble is, once you start thinking
Mark Riss's injury is why I'm not getting carried away, because we got carried away at Wolves years ago and it came back and bit us at the end of the season, so I'm not going to do that again.
Max Clegg, do you think?
It's a possibility, I think.
He knows the track.
Yeah, and he's been getting some decent scores for.
He's been racing well.
So,
yeah.
I think he needed that. I think he needed that to be honest.
He did really well at our track the other day, didn't he? So
it'd be interesting to see who does come in as a guest. But Max Clegg is a definite possibility because I know Wolves do like to use their own assets if they can. So.
Yeah, that's always been a thing for him. It's all right if you can own assets, isn't it?
Yeah.
I'm not bitter at all. So we've got Plymouth, of course. Now, we was talking before the show that we thought that's going to be a fairly easy win for us, but looking at what they're doing at Swindon, that's quite a close match. Swindon's got quite a strong team there.
That's right.
Including a lot of Brummies. I still think we can. I think we need to get a decent score, though, don't we? Because they're back at their track.
When's the second league? Has that been rescheduled for that yet?
I have no idea. Somebody will tell us, I'm sure. But yeah.
I don't know what their track's like because I've never been to Plymouth.
I've never been. I've seen pictures of it. It's
tiny.
It's minute.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's about the size of this room. So.
Yeah. You go. The gates go up. That's the race finished. You know. Slightly exaggerating. Let's have a look at the leagues then. National League. We're starting with the important league first. Bellevue, Eastbourne, Lakeside and Birmingham have now snuck into the top 4, which is nice to see.
Punted Gradley out.
Yeah, on the same number of matches as well. Bellevue are running away with it a little bit, although they have got more meetings than everybody else.
I don't think Bellevue will lose a meeting at home in the league.
Mills and all are there or thereabouts. They've only got 5 matches and on 13.
Yeah.
It is tough, isn't it? And, Kent are not out of it, are they?
I think you can rule the bottom 4 out now.
Yeah.
I think they're probably a bit too... I know Isle of Wight have got a lot of matches to catch up on, but... It's whether they're going to pick up enough away.
But even so, to have 7 teams still vying for that, that's a decent league, isn't it?
Well, compared to last season, so...
Shall we go for the Championship or the Premiership? Just to
be awkward.
I don't really want to look at that, to be honest.
That's all I do.
The top 4 are Wolverhampton, Bellevue, Poole and Kings Lynn. And then 5th is Rye House, perhaps slipping away a little bit now. Because Kings Lynn, 11 matches, 22 points. And then 5th place, Rye House, 12 matches, 18 points. Could Swindon put a late surge? They started to show some form all of a sudden, haven't they?
Well, the thing with Swindon is that you took them. I know they've
home matches.
Well,
yeah.
they've only had 4 home matches in fairness, but they took them. They took them a 4th.
But they've only won one of them, haven't they? So
yeah, but they've been getting some really good scores away from home as well. So
it's really weird because that's just not Speedway, is it? It's not the way